We're talking about the quality of a home website, which I think is paramount for most companies.
Yep,
and then the quality of the ads.
Yeah.
The question I have is, I find that most of my competitors, they do not even consider the quality of the ad. Most marketers are focused on placement, algorithms, and if something's wrong, well, we just got to up the spend. But it's never the content. And I'm curious, why do you think most marketers ignore content?
I'll go on a quick tangent about the website because I'm actually really passionate about this, because in the dentistry space, it's actually flipped. So in the dental space, dentists are constantly sold on a big, fancy, expensive website. And it's so the marketing companies can front load their cash, right? The marketing companies know that they suck at the actual ads part. So they're like, let's try to make some money on the website. And there's a couple companies,
100%.
They're notorious for selling a very expensive $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 website to a dentist because it has some videos on it. And then they just kind of leave it there and they go, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Well, that's not true in advertising anymore. It's true with your physical practice. If you build an amazing practice in a great community, people will drive by it, people will see it, people will go there. But the key part of that statement is that people drove by it and they saw it. So your website is inextricably linked to all of your ads. You have to have them both. You have to have a great website and you have to have really good ads. I would actually go one step further and say it's better to have better ads that tell a great story that go to a kind of crappy older website that has good bones to it. It still tells your story. It's still good. It might not be on the latest version of WordPress or whatever. It doesn't have the fanciest video on it, but it's way better to have that than have the most amazing website ever and really crappy traffic or no traffic. So that's the first thing that I'll say. And I think that gets into integrity of marketing companies too, because a lot of them are just trying to front load stuff. They're trying to get you into a 12-month contract, all this stuff. Been there, done that myself. We learned from all of these mistakes. And I always, the more pissed off I got, the more at the back of my mind, I kept thinking, like, when I start my own thing, I'm going to do everything the right way. You could still make a ton of money and make people a lot of money. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to do any of this shady crap. So it's something I get passionate about because so many people feel so screwed. I can't tell you how many times I go to conferences and we're doing this, we're doing that. People come up and they go, I just spent $30,000 on my website. I don't have any money now for a marketing budget. What can you do? And I'm like, oh, great, thank you. So we're used to that. We're used to getting the redheaded stepchild of, situations. And I can say that because my brother's redhead, so I can make that joke. But, that they need to be turned around like rapidly and drastically. And the only way to do that is to measure where are your actual patients coming in from now. When we're running ads, which ads make money, which ads lose money. No one else has the technology to be able to do that, just to be blunt. It's something that we were obsessed over. If it existed, we would have used it for our own practices. It didn't exist until we had to make it. And so that's one theme. To the point about having a good story, and we've talked about this a lot, but that's the thread that binds everything together. That's the underlying theme that kind of guarantees that you're at least going to have some sort of success as a practice in your market, is being able to articulate your story. That could be your value propositions. That could be, I have a super cute client where they're both husband and wife dentists and they weren't really advertising that. And I was like, you need to advertise that. That's part of your story. Whatever it is, everybody's got a story. That could be your specials and your discounts and whatever else you want to advertise, sure. But, I kind of, it's a little bit overdone, right? A lot of people have discounts and specials. A lot of people are looking for those things, don't get me wrong, but you just have to be mindful about everything that you're doing. This goes back to what we talked about before, about how people are searching for stuff. Not only do very few people know what an implant is, nobody knows what the hell an abutment is. Nobody. If you're not in the dental industry, you don't know what an abutment is. So stop spending money advertising on those terms. And Jeff, to your point, these companies are spending all this money on all these things now, knowing damn well that their client is not going to audit it. And, I don't even mean to bash. I actually really have a lot of empathy for marketers. And I always use the analogy, it's not necessarily their fault or that they're trying to pillage everything and make out like a bandit. Yeah. It's like they're driving a car and they can't see what's in front of them. when you're running Google ads or you're running ads in the traditional way, like, with the traditional metrics, if I can only see impressions, clicks, and conversions, which is basically a phone call, I can only see so far in front of me. So you have to be able to have qualitative metrics to be able to see what patients are coming from where, how much money are they spending, and then how can I reinvest money only back into the things that make money? And that's exactly what Rise does. So, but we had to build it. It didn't exist. Now there, other people kind of trying to, figure out the space and determine what's going on. But we're actually probably about to start offering this to other marketing companies. I'm not trying to corner the market necessarily with this technology. I want to, provide something that we want to make the biggest impact. To be honest, we're still growing our own DSO. We've also got 5 medical practices, 4 in Michigan, one in Salt Lake City. Jeff and I really enjoy that side of the business too. It's about lifestyle to me just as much as it is about anything. And I also think that's where we really resonate with other owner operators, is like our narrative is like, look, we understand, like, I understand you because I am you. We know what it's like to run a practice because we still own them ourselves, and we get it. Hiring is really difficult right now. There's so many challenges that people have getting great people to stick around. But to answer your question about, the patient experience and the ads versus the videos, if you're telling a great story, there are a lot of different ways that you can tell that story. I think a perfect example of that has to do with what channels you're advertising on. So our system is going to show exactly which platforms are making you the most money as an office. Is it Facebook? Is it Google? Is it TikTok? What is it? I learned very early on when I started marketing that I'm like, well, what if Google goes away? Like, Google ads are great, but what if something happens to Google? There's a huge lawsuit going on, a huge antitrust lawsuit going on with Google. What if TikTok is crushing it right now, but then China doesn't want to sell it and we turn it off or we ban it in the United States? What then? So right. I learned very quickly, like, we don't want to be the company that's too tied to any particular channel, because we're not going to last 50 plus years. Like, we want to be an institution. So we want to build this platform. All marketing tracking, as you well know, is apples and oranges. It's reading the tea leaves. It's smoke signals. It's bull crap. It's horrible. So the first step is you have to take all your marketing and unify it to apples comparisons. It's the first thing that we do. And then when you do that, you find a lot of interesting things. What actually makes you money, what loses you money. I always joke, but it is true. Like, I'm wrong probably half the time of what I think is making the money, and like, where is it coming from? And then we measure it and we're just straight up wrong. And I say, that's not a problem only when you can measure it. It becomes a problem just dragging these dead bodies around on the ground, and you're dumping all this money into all these marketing campaigns. And that's why it's kind of funny, but we talk to these huge DSOs all the time and we're like, you could probably cut half your marketing budget right now and be fine. They don't believe it. They really don't believe it when I say this. They don't believe it. And then they do it just with, like, they'll just do it with a couple offices to start. I'm like, that's fine. Like, you don't have to just blatantly trust me, but just understand. I mean, look at our track record first, but then try it. And they're like, damn, okay, so what do we do now? And I'm like, well, it's because you're spending money on things that waste money. That's the problem. You're hemorrhaging money.
It's an epidemic. The waste of money in marketing it's an epidemic. And most of my clients have just accepted it because they don't actually know. And it's usually not until I sit down with a new client who's running away from another marketer that's complaining to me about these things. And I'm just like, wait, he did what? And he didn't tell you what channels you are and all of these things. And it's this veil, especially in television. There's this veil where my clients have no clue what's going on. And so when I do tell them, like, oh, by the way, you're going to have probably out of 40 spots that you're anticipating on running in March, 12 are not going to air.
Yes.
I'm going to get the refunds for those. And if you're no longer a client in 3 months, I'm going to keep that money.
Yep.
That's what my competitors do. Like, I've dealt with clients who know that their spots aren't running. I'm like, well, that's a common practice. So it's an interesting thing how much waste is just accepted. Yes. And it's not like, from what I'm learning about Rise, it's not like Rise is coming in and saying, we do Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, TV, marketing, all of this epically better than everybody else. What you're saying is we have thousands of clients where we have understandings about those things. and we are going to put you on a platform where you're going to be able to see for yourself. And there will be no question if this is working or not. And that has got to be so empowering to someone who's just been getting screwed around by marketers that, you know, for their entire existence. It's an epidemic of waste that I feel like once someone signs up with you, they don't have to worry about that anymore.